Hello, and welcome. Before we start, let me ask you a simple question. Have you ever noticed that two people can face the same problem, yet one becomes stronger while the other gives up? The difference is often not talent, not education, not money. It is attitude. Here is a surprising truth. Your attitude can change your life long before your circumstances change. Many people spend years waiting for the perfect opportunity, the perfect job, the perfect moment, or the perfect conditions to finally become happy and successful. But what if success does not start with what happens around you? What if it starts with what happens inside you? Today, I want to share a powerful story about one of the most overlooked forces in life. A force that shapes your decisions, influences your relationships, affects your confidence, and determines how you respond when life becomes difficult. That force is your attitude. As you listen, you may recognize parts of yourself in this story. You may discover habits you never noticed before. And you may realize that changing your life does not always require changing your circumstances first. Sometimes it begins with changing the way you see them. Let's begin. Part 1. The invisible lens that shapes your life. Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering that every challenge in your life has remained exactly the same. Your bills are still there. Your responsibilities are still waiting. The problems you faced yesterday have not disappeared. Now imagine that only one thing has changed: your attitude. Would your day look different? Most people would immediately say no. They believe that happiness and success come from external circumstances. They think they need better conditions before they can feel better about life. But experience tells a different story. Think about the people you admire. Some of them grew up with very little. Some faced rejection, failure, loss, or disappointment. Yet somehow they continued moving forward while others stopped. What made the difference? Very often, it was the way they viewed their situation. Attitude is like an invisible lens through which you see the world. Two people can experience the same event and create completely different meanings from it. One person loses a job and sees the end of their future. Another person loses a job and sees the beginning of a new chapter. One person receives criticism and feels defeated. Another receives criticism and finds an opportunity to improve. The event is the same. The interpretation is different. And that interpretation shapes the outcome. Many people underestimate the power of this principle. They assume attitude is merely positive thinking. But attitude is much deeper than that. It is the habit of choosing your response. It is the ability to remain hopeful when results are slow. It is the courage to keep learning when mistakes are embarrassing. It is the decision to focus on possibilities instead of limitations. Life will never be completely fair. Difficult days will come to everyone. No attitude can eliminate every problem. However, your attitude determines whether those problems become permanent obstacles or temporary lessons. The truth is simple. You cannot always control what happens to you. You cannot control the economy. You cannot control other people's opinions. You cannot control unexpected setbacks. But you can control the meaning you give those experiences. And that control is more powerful than most people realize. The moment you understand this, you stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances. You begin to see yourself as the author of your response. And that is where real change begins. Part 2. Why some people rise while others stay stuck. A few years ago, two friends started their careers at the same company. They were nearly the same age. They had similar education. They earned similar salaries. And they both dreamed of building a better future. At first, their paths looked almost identical. Then life happened. The company faced challenges. Opportunities became limited. Promotions slowed down. Pressure increased. One of the friends became frustrated. Every setback felt like proof that life was unfair. Every mistake felt personal. Every successful coworker became someone to envy. Over time, his motivation faded. He did only what was necessary. He stopped learning new skills. He spent more energy complaining about problems than solving them. The other friend faced the same difficulties, but he approached them differently. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" he asked, "What can this teach me?" Instead of focusing on what he lacked, he focused on what he could improve. Instead of waiting for opportunities, he prepared himself for them. Year after year, the gap between the two friends grew wider. Not because one was dramatically smarter, not because one was luckier, but because their attitudes led them down different paths. This happens everywhere. Many people believe that success is created by a single breakthrough moment. In reality, success is often built through hundreds of small decisions that nobody notices. Your attitude influences those decisions every day. It determines whether you learn from failure or run from it, whether you take responsibility or make excuses, whether you focus on growth or remain trapped in frustration. The danger is that negative attitudes rarely destroy a life overnight. They work slowly. A little more doubt, a little less effort, a little more blaming, a little less learning. Day after day, those small choices accumulate. At the same time, a positive and resilient attitude also works quietly. One extra lesson learned. One more attempt after failure. One difficult conversation handled with maturity. One challenge accepted instead of avoided. These small actions seem insignificant in the moment, but over months and years, they create extraordinary differences. The people who rise are not always the people with the fewest obstacles. Often, they are the people who refuse to let obstacles define them. Their secret is not perfection. Their secret is perspective. And perspective is one of the most valuable assets you will ever possess. Part 3. The day everything goes wrong. It is easy to have a good attitude when life is going well. It is easy to stay positive when opportunities are everywhere, when people support you, and when results arrive quickly. The real test comes on the days when everything seems to go wrong. Imagine waking up to bad news. A plan fails. A trusted person disappoints you. An opportunity disappears. The future suddenly feels uncertain. Most people believe these moments reveal their weakness. But in reality, they reveal their attitude. Anyone can be confident when life is comfortable. Character is revealed when life becomes difficult. Think about a tree during a storm. On a calm day, it looks strong and stable. But its true strength is tested when powerful winds begin to blow. Human beings are not very different. Challenges expose what already exists inside us. Some people immediately assume the worst. They focus on everything they cannot control. They become trapped in fear, anger, or self-pity. As a result, their problems often become larger than they originally were. Others choose a different response. They acknowledge the difficulty. They accept the reality of the situation, but they refuse to surrender their mindset. They ask themselves important questions. What can I learn from this? What can I still control? What is the next right step? These questions may seem simple, but they change everything. Your mind is constantly searching for answers. If you ask, "Why does everything bad happen to me?" your mind will find evidence to support that belief. If you ask, "How can I grow through this experience?" your mind begins searching for solutions instead. The situation may not change immediately, but your ability to handle it does. This is one of the greatest benefits of a strong attitude. It does not make you blind to problems. It makes you stronger than them. Many of the most successful people in the world experienced seasons of failure that would have caused others to quit. They faced rejection. They lost money. They made mistakes. They encountered criticism and doubt. Yet they continued moving forward because they understood something important. A bad day is not a bad life. A failure is not a final identity. A setback is not a permanent destination. These are temporary moments, and temporary moments should never be allowed to define your future. The next time life does not go according to plan, remember this. You may not have control over the storm, but you always have control over how you respond to it. And sometimes that response becomes the very thing that changes your life. Part 4. The hidden cost of a negative attitude. Most people can see the cost of losing money. They can see the cost of a bad investment, a missed opportunity, or an expensive mistake. But there is another cost that is much harder to recognize. It is the cost of a negative attitude. Unlike financial losses, this cost does not appear on a bank statement. It quietly affects every area of life. A negative attitude often begins with small thoughts, a little resentment, a little bitterness, a little disappointment that never fully goes away. At first, these feelings seem harmless, but when they become a habit, they start changing the way a person sees the world. Soon, every challenge feels bigger. Every setback feels personal. Every success of another person feels unfair. Without realizing it, many people begin carrying a mental weight that grows heavier every year. The tragedy is that this weight affects more than emotions. It affects actions. A person who constantly expects failure may stop trying. A person who believes nobody can be trusted may push away meaningful relationships. A person who focuses only on problems may overlook valuable opportunities standing right in front of them. Over time, these choices create consequences, not because life is punishing them, but because attitude influences behavior, and behavior influences results. Consider two employees working in the same office. One approaches each day with curiosity and a willingness to learn. The other complains about every change and resists every challenge. Who is more likely to gain new skills? Who is more likely to earn trust? Who is more likely to receive opportunities? The answer is obvious. People are naturally drawn toward energy that inspires growth. This does not mean you must pretend everything is perfect. A healthy attitude is not fake optimism. It is not ignoring problems. It is not smiling through pain and acting as if nothing is wrong. A healthy attitude means facing reality while refusing to be controlled by negativity. It means recognizing difficulties without allowing them to become your identity. One of the saddest things in life is watching capable people limit themselves because of the stories they repeat in their minds. I'll never succeed. It's too late for me. Nothing ever works out. These beliefs can become invisible prisons. The doors may be open, but the person never walks through them. Not because they lack ability, because they have lost belief. That is the hidden cost of a negative attitude. It steals possibilities before they ever become realities. And often, the greatest opportunities in life are missed not because people are incapable, but because they have convinced themselves that trying is pointless. The good news is that attitudes are learned, and anything that is learned can also be changed. Part 5. How great attitudes are built, not born. One of the biggest misconceptions about attitude is the belief that some people are simply born positive. We look at confident, resilient, and optimistic individuals and assume they have always been that way. But most of the time, that is not true. A strong attitude is rarely a gift. It is usually a choice repeated over and over again. The people who inspire us are not immune to fear. They are not free from disappointment. They are not protected from failure. They simply learn how to respond differently. Every day, they practice habits that strengthen their mindset. Just as muscles grow stronger through exercise, attitude grows stronger through consistent training. Consider what happens when something goes wrong. The average person may immediately focus on the problem. A person with a strong attitude focuses on the solution. The average person may spend hours worrying about things beyond their control. A person with a strong attitude directs energy toward actions they can take. This difference may appear small, but repeated thousands of times, it creates a completely different life. Another important habit is gratitude. Many people misunderstand gratitude. They think it means being thankful only when life is easy. Real gratitude is different. It is the ability to recognize value even during difficult seasons. It is appreciating what remains instead of obsessing over what is missing. Gratitude does not eliminate problems, but it prevents problems from becoming the only thing you see. Strong attitudes are also built through responsibility. This can be uncomfortable because responsibility requires honesty. It is easier to blame circumstances. It is easier to blame other people. It is easier to blame bad luck. Yet growth begins the moment you ask yourself a powerful question. What can I do better? That question shifts your attention from excuses to improvement. And improvement is where progress lives. Perhaps most importantly, people with great attitudes guard what enters their minds. They understand that thoughts are influenced by environments, the books they read, the conversations they have, the content they consume, the people they spend time with. All of these things shape their perspective. If you constantly surround yourself with negativity, negativity begins to feel normal. If you surround yourself with growth, learning, and possibility, your thinking starts to change. Little by little, day by day, your attitude becomes stronger. Not because life becomes easier, but because you become wiser in the way you approach life. And that wisdom creates a quiet confidence. A confidence that says, no matter what happens, I will find a way forward. That is the attitude that transforms ordinary lives into extraordinary ones. Part 6. The decision that can change your future today. At some point, every person reaches a moment of decision. Not a dramatic moment that makes headlines. Not a moment that attracts attention from the world. But a quiet moment. a private moment, a moment when they must decide who they will become. Many people spend years waiting for life to change before they change. They wait for more money. They wait for better circumstances. They wait for confidence to appear. They wait for motivation to arrive. And while they wait, time continues moving forward. Days become months. Months become years. The truth is that lasting change rarely begins with a new opportunity. It begins with a new attitude. The future you want is built by the person you choose to become today. Every positive action starts with a decision. A decision to keep learning. A decision to stay hopeful. A decision to take responsibility. A decision to move forward even when progress feels slow. These decisions may seem insignificant in a single day, but life is not shaped by one day. Life is shaped by thousands of ordinary days. Every morning you have a choice. You can focus on what is missing, or you can focus on what is possible. You can focus on obstacles, or you can focus on opportunities. You can allow past failures to define you, or you can allow them to educate you. The choice belongs to you, and that choice becomes your attitude. Many people search for the secret to success. They search for the perfect strategy, the perfect system, or the perfect opportunity. Yet some of the most successful individuals discovered something much simpler. Your attitude determines how you use every opportunity that comes your way. Two people can receive the same chance. One sees risk and walks away. The other sees possibility and takes action. Two people can experience the same failure. One quits, the other learns. Two people can face the same challenge. One becomes bitter. The other becomes stronger. The difference is not always talent. The difference is often attitude. Imagine where your life could be 1 year from now if you consistently chose growth over excuses, responsibility over blame, and action over fear. Imagine the relationships you could strengthen, the skills you could develop, the goals you could achieve, the confidence you could build, all because you made one important decision. The decision to stop letting circumstances control your mindset. Because the greatest transformation in life does not begin when the world around you changes. It begins when the way you think changes. And that transformation can begin today, right now, with the attitude you choose to carry from this moment forward. As we come to the end of this story, remember one simple truth. Your attitude may not change your life overnight, but it can change the direction of your life starting today. You do not need to have all the answers. You do not need perfect conditions. You do not need to be fearless. You only need to make a choice. A choice to keep moving forward. A choice to learn from setbacks instead of being defeated by them. A choice to focus on possibilities instead of limitations. Because every great achievement begins with a mindset that refuses to give up. Years from now, you may look back on this moment and realize that the biggest change in your life did not begin with a new job, a new opportunity, or a lucky break. It began with a new attitude. So as you continue your journey, carry this thought with you. When you cannot control the circumstances, control your response. When you cannot change the past, change your perspective. And when life challenges you, remember that your attitude can become your greatest strength. Thank you for spending these moments with me. If this story encouraged you, inspired you, or gave you something meaningful to think about, please consider subscribing to the channel and joining us for more stories about personal growth, success, resilience, and living a better life. Until next time, take care of yourself, stay hopeful, keep learning, and never underestimate the power of a positive attitude. Because attitude is not just part of life. Attitude is everything.